So for this year's Halloween, I want to make a Transformer costume for Anthony, so he can crouch down and it transforms into a car. I had a look around the internet to see how other people had done it, and on YouTube, and one guy on YouTube had done a very good tutorial on how he made his. So using his basic method, first of all we need to work out some of the dimensions. So what we do is we get the child to lay down in a crouching position like this, and then we have to measure the distance from the shoulders to just before the end of the bum. So this distance here. And that's going to be the length of our frame. Then of course we also need to know the width of the shoulders. And then using those measurements we make a basic frame which will be like this, where this is the head and this is the part which goes just above the bum here. This end will be slightly tapered in according to his design, and the total length is the length of the body I measured earlier, which in my case is 40 centimeters. And then the width of the wide part here is the width of the shoulders, which will be here, which I already measured as somewhere between 25 and 26 centimeters, but I'm going to make it 25 to try and make a bit more of a snug fit. So that's the basic design of the frame. First of all we make the frame, and then we move on to making the body of the car later. So the first step is complete, which is to make this frame which fits over the body when he's in the crouched position. And then this is the head, and the next part is to make some hooks which come down here, and this takes the weight of the costume in the upright position. I used the same method of the guy online, which was to join everything using hot glue. I was a bit doubtful if hot glue would be strong enough, but it is. This is held together very well. I went out and bought a proper hot glue gun, like he was using in the video, which uses these big thick glue sticks, and this makes all the difference. It's just it doesn't compare to that little cheap one I was using from the 100 yen store. One extra step I'm going to do before I move on is, even though this seems to be held together very well, I'm going to go ahead and put some staples in these joins, just for a bit of extra strength. So these are the shoulder straps. This is the back, and this is where the chest is, so this hangs over the shoulder, kind of like a backpack. So these are made with very thick coat hangers, which I've cut and then bent into the right shape. So it's bent around the frame here, and then following the line of the chest down here. I've used this draft excluder stuff and put a layer on the front like this, and I've glued another layer on the back like that, so they're glued together and the wires sandwiched in between. I actually used 2 layers on the inside because this is from the 100 yen store and it's really thin, so I used 2 layers here, and then just taped it round, so now it's nice and soft, and so all of the weight of the costume will hang on these over the chest. Also, so now the frame is complete. This makes up the skeleton of the costume, and all the parts are suspended from here. These straps make up the hinges. In the guy's video he used polypropylene strapping, which is like backpack kind of straps for the 2 inner ones, and used Velcro on the outside. I used Velcro on all of them because that way I can fine-tune the placement of all the pieces once it's all together. And once it's Velcroed together exactly how I like it, then I can always staple these together anyway to fix everything in place. So Velcro seemed a better way to go for me. Also, he attached his straps using hot glue, and then he placed another piece of wood on top to make it extra tight. I didn't do that. I used staples, a load of staples you can see, to make it super tight. So it's a lot stronger with staples. Even these are held on with staples. So I prefer those to glue for these straps. That's it. So that's the frame complete. And now, it'll be that way up. So now I can start making the cardboard panels for the side and the front, and then work on the foam surround. So the next step is to start cutting out some cardboard panels to make the body of the car. I didn't have any suitable large boxes, but in the DIY store I found these large sheets of cardboard which are 1 meter by 2 meters for only 250 yen a sheet. So they're cheap, and it's nice to start with some good clean cardboard. This is going to be the side of the car, and to work out the dimensions I had to measure from his shoulder to the end of his feet. So that's between these two lines here. And make sure he was wearing shoes, because that adds on a good couple of extra centimeters minimum. And then give it a few more centimeters, because I don't want it to keep on catching when he's in the car position. So once I've got that length, divide it by 2, which is this line here, and then times it by 3, so I have 3 sections, right? Each is an equal third. Each section is 29 centimeters long for Anthony. And then this is the front section, the bonnet or hood. And so I also measured the height of his head when he was in the crouch position, which was 20 centimeters. So that would be about here, where the middle of his head is. So this mark here is 20 centimeters, and then using just some curve I found, I made like a curved bonnet. So the front bonnet will be curved. Ignore the top line. I decided to make it a bit more aggressive, and that's what this line is here. Also, I've added on the width of one of these strips of wood on either end, and these are just to serve as flaps when we're gluing it together, so it can kind of hold stuff in place. Then eventually the rear third is going to be cut apart anyway, and that's going to be in a different section. So now that I've got one shape, I'm going to cut this out, then flip it over, and then cut out both sides. So I've started to mark out some of the features on the side panels. These are the wheels here and here, and also there's a surrounding wheel well. Now the front wheels are folding in, the rear wheels are fixed in place. So because the front wheels fold in, I can't make them too big, yet I don't want them to be too small, because the whole point of like this sports muscle car look is that they have massive chunky wheels. Also, I kind of messed up on this front piece. I was supposed to leave this strip as extra so I could fold it in as a flap, but I didn't. The actual front of the car is here. This is the 29 centimeters from here all the way to the front. So that's okay. It just means on the cross piece I make the flaps on that piece instead, and bend the flaps this way and glue it to this side. Anywho, so I think because of the width of the car, which is going to be as wide as his shoulders, and the wheels have to fold inwards, I think I can't go much bigger than this. I'd like to go a little bit bigger, but I think that'd be pushing it. So this wheel is 18 centimeters in diameter, and the wheel well, I made it 2 centimeters wider, so it's got like a centimeter gap all the way around it, and then the wheel well will go straight down like that. The rear wheel, I can afford to go a bit bigger because that's fixed in place. So this is actually 20 centimeters in diameter, and the well, I've given it a 1.5 centimeter gap instead of a 1 centimeter at the front. So the rear wheel is bigger than the front. If you put them side by side, you can kind of see that the rear wheel is bigger than the front, which is fine because that's a muscle car look anyway. It's fine to have the rear wheels bigger. This is the line. I just made a curve with the bottom of a paint pot This is going to be the line of the door here. The door comes out at the top, and then this is going to be part of the rear, which is curved so it can bend in. So that's one side of the car, and then I just copied the design for the other side of the car. You can see a bit more clearly here the difference in wheel sizes, which works. Now the next thing is I want to cut out some foam. So this is kind of like blue insulation foam. It's 3 centimeters thick. So I'm going to cut out the exact same shape as this whole piece, and then glue it on, and then cut out all these features and cut this line here. And then once the foam is stuck on, then because it has some thickness, I can try to contour it a bit, you know, and make kind of like some curved panels for the side of the car. It'll give it a bit of chunkiness as well. It'll give it more rigidity. So yeah, that's the next step. So now I've cut the side of the car out in foam. This is the passenger side. So I've got a passenger front piece and passenger rear piece. A couple of things to mention. Cutting this foam by knife is very tricky to get a clean cut. So what I did is, after drawing the shape, I cut outside the line by a couple of inches using the knife, not caring how the finish was. And then I used this tool, which heats up this thin wire, and it's designed to cut polystyrene. It cuts it like butter, and you can make all sorts of complicated shapes, and it cuts it very neatly. And because it's hot, it melts the surface too. You get a very smooth line. So this was worth buying. I paid about 3,000 yen, I think. What's that, 20 quid, something like that. Yeah, but this made the work a lot quicker, a lot easier, so I recommend one of these. Next thing is we're going to glue the cardboard template on. So here's the cardboard template. I'll do this from the top. When you're gluing these together, what you want to do is bring this a bit down and make like a bit of a skirt. See, that's why I've covered this in tape, so that when I spray it with glue to stick these together, I can peel off the tape quickly, and then this cardboard will be glue free. So the idea is that when it's together, it's kind of going to be like this, and then this is going to be painted the colour of the car, and this little skirt hanging down on the inside is going to be painted black, and it's going to kind of look like the car is floating, but really it's touching the ground on this skirt. So it makes it very easy for him just to plop himself down, and it would look like that, but still to be actually sitting on the ground, but looking like the car is off the ground. That's the basic idea. So yeah, so now I'm going to glue them together, and then leave them sitting overnight. I'll compress them between some bits of wood or something, with some weight on top. Then when we're gluing this piece together, not only will we leave a skirt, but we'll bring the whole thing out a little bit this way. So we'll have a lip of the polystyrene all the way around, because this is going to be the rear wing, and the idea is that then we can use a piece of cardboard, and this will go over the top to make the rear wing. So you need to have a bit of a lip, so you can stick the piece of cardboard here and have it all kind of flush.